What's up, guys? Today's story is going to be very simple. I'm bringing it down really simple. I promise if you hang out till the end, it will be the best story you have ever watched. I'm going to take a very complex subject and I'm going to make it very simple. Busy and you're swiping through and you're going through your Instagram models. I totally get that. Come back later and watch this story because I'm going to make this very simple and easy to understand. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, and that would be the safest spot to be right now, you understand things are about to change. And it's important to understand why they're about to change. In months, you're going to start hearing news about the corporate debt bubble. And you're going to be like, what is that? How does that affect me? Why do I care? So I'm going to break this down very simply to show you a company that I absolutely love, I adore, and personally, if I was going to do the corporate route, I'd want to be the CEO of this company. First thing you got to understand is that the human mind thinks linearly, right? We think 1 mile, 2 mile, 3 mile. I ran a marathon, 24 mile. So we think in linear jumps and progressions. Boy, Grant's got to understand is I got fish, man. I got fish. The Wolf of Wall Street beat the shit out of Cardone on a podcast. Like you'd need to go back and see that. But anyway, I got these fish. I have these fish. These are mosquito fish. I'm so pumped about this. So pumped. Look at these dudes. These dudes hitting, man. They're just hitting. Super excited about these fish because we started out with 4 and we grew them to about 50 and then the county gave us another 60. So I've got about 100 of them right here in this pond. My fish matter because they grow exponentially. 18 months from today, I'll have 25,000 fish in that pond, which is about the pond's capacity. So the exponent, something that we as human beings can't really wrap our mind around. Sort of how the X works is 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 4 is 16, 16 times 16 is 256. So in only 3 transactions, we've taken our original number, which was 2, and our new number, which is 256, and the original is only 1% of 1% of the new number in only 3 transactions. Old Chinese fable, which is fitting for this story. Urban version of this story goes like this. Chinese emperor goes to his homie. His homie's like, yo, emperor, you owe me some shit, dog. Emperor's like, you're right, I do. What can I do for you, my man? The sly cat goes, it's easy, emperor. All I want is just a grain of rice. I want you to double it for every square on the checkerboard. That's all. It's gonna be simple. Emperor's like, bro, you hooking me up, my man. I appreciate that. But before they get to the end of the checkerboard, the peasant farmer basically owns the entire kingdom. In fact, the emperor has given away the kingdom before they even get to the end of the board. It's the financial term for this would be the magic of compounding. And that's critical for today's lesson because it's gonna screw America. If you're not from America, what you need to know about us Americans is we run shit. When we sneeze, the world gets a cold. Not the other way around. EU can go down, China can go down, everybody go down. But when we go down, you have to care because we're America. And we got the biggest corporate debt bubble that you've never heard about. We got a pension fund bubble coming behind it. We got a student loan crisis coming after that. But with this Corona-19, well, the Corona-19 virus is going to be the needle that pops the debt bubble. Case in point today would be one company that moves the world, quite literally. They started in 1925, and they literally exemplify what it is to be an American corporation. And that would be Cat. I absolutely love what this brand builds and what it represents to so much of the planet. However, the accounting department at Caterpillar has completely screwed over their shareholders, and so have many large corporations. Let's dive into their numbers. According to Yahoo Finance, Caterpillar did $53 billion in revenue in 2019 at a cost of $38 billion, giving their shareholders approximately $15 billion profit. See Luzio over here at the numbers, and you're going to see that they've got current liabilities of right about $26 billion. It's around that $26.5, $27 billion in current liabilities for 19. Profit last year, $15 billion. They got to pay $27. How are they going to do that? They're going to go to the bond market and they're going to issue bonds and they're going to make up that deficit of $10 billion. As long as the bond market is there for them to go to. Short of it is they've accumulated more debt in the short term than they're going to have payables to pay in the short term. Long term, they're fine. They've got a huge balance sheet. They're just a little levered up. And they did this because the interest rates are so low. In addition to that, they've been able to do something called a stock buyback. They've and it will buy back stock. So is every corporation in America. They can issue debt to then buy stock. Well, their price of their stock dipped 15% this past week. So literally, stock loaned in the past, they purchased stock with at a certain price. That stock then went down. That debt stays here. The stock went down. That money in between just evaporated into thin air. One of these guys that runs these companies, you're doing great because you get paid on the stock price. Well, when you do a stock buyback, the stock price goes up. Nothing changes about the company. In fact, last year, American corporations made 20% less profit than they did in 18. A stock buyback raises the price of the stock, is as you buy back those shares, the value of the company stays the same, and you divide it amongst less shares. So the stock price increases. The company doesn't increase in value, the stock price does. So if you have a $100,000 company and you have 1,000 shares, each share is worth $100. If I buy back 500 of those shares, each share is worth $200. The company's still worth $100,000. The company begins to perform worse and worse. The price of the stock remains close to the same and or increases, giving the appearance that it's actually increasing in value, when in fact nothing's increasing in value. The only thing that's really occurring is the major denominator, which is the interest rate, continues to drop because you have a freaking president that continues to tweet the interest rate down and down. Or to graph the interest rate, instead of the interest rate going up, 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 up progressively as the economy was in good shape, the president and your Federal Reserve has done this, because this right here is an election year and having a very low interest rate would be helpful, except you're going to have a big crisis right here. Now the banks are bigger, the debt is bigger, and we've got something unique going on, which, as you know, is your Corona-19 virus to the exponent. This part. As of today, the COR-19 is a joke. It's an internet meme. It's funny. There's only 1,000 cases. It's got a 3% kill rate. It's no big deal. People are blowing it up. The media is blowing it up, etc., etc. What you fail to recognize is that a virus by nature grows exponentially, not linearly. There's a way to have it grow linearly, but you have to take massive action. You look at the coronavirus on a graph, you look at mainland China, they kind of had this hockey stick going on. If you go and look at some of the other ones like Italy, Iran, Japan, United States, France, it's kind of still a joke. It's only 1,000 cases here in the United States. But there are two outliers. There's Singapore, which almost looks like a linear curve, and then you've got Japan, which also looks like a linear curve. Everybody else has this hockey stick, and that hockey stick is the exponent. Look deeper into it. If you look at Japan and you look at Singapore, they shut those countries down. No flights, no trains, no boats, no nothing. They shut them down. You've got a president that ain't no way in hell is going to cancel anything, because we've got this massive, massive corporate debt bubble that when candidate Trump was running for president, he talked about, but President Trump never mentioned. And so what you have to understand is that unless your government shuts it down and starves this thing out, you are not going to get linear growth. You will get exponential growth. And when you get to that 10th exponent, that 11th exponent, you will have more than a 50% infection rate. You'll probably try to cap it before then by shutting things down. So this will be a unique recession because you've got this entire corporate debt. And what we're going to do is, why things are fine in the economy, we're going to sit at home and wait for them to be back, for things to get bad. So it's kind of like the U.S. economy is a 747, and we had our interest rate sort of here, and then Trump kept on picking up speed, and kept wanting that interest rate to go lower and lower. Instead of increasing the interest rate with the speed of the 747 and getting it up, him and the Federal Reserve decided to go lower, and you're flying a 747 10 feet off the deck. You cannot slow down. You don't have time for any decrease in velocity. You got to stay on the throttle and freaking go. Well, it's not going to happen because half of your workforce is going to miss 3 weeks of work this year. Half of the American workforce is going to miss 3 weeks of work, maybe more. Shipments are going to be missed. Debt payments are going to be missed. These things are going to occur. And about the middle of the summer, possibly September, it's going to be evident. Not in the 10, 15% market drop. Over the human health, you always fail. Always fail. And so instead of having one good and one bad, we're going to have both bad. So we're going to have a sick population, which will get over it. It's not a big deal. And then we're going to have a dead economy. And so you're going to get this recession. You saw this week. No. That's not the problem. The problem is that there's this massive bubble and that we can't do the human health over the economic health. We actually have to pick. And by picking the economic health, but if you remember, I told you earlier in the year, you don't get a recession this time. This time, you get a depression. President Trump and Jermaine Powell and the Federal Reserve and the rest of these central bankers decided to have that interest rate now less than 1%. We got no bullets left in the chamber. So we're quite literally all on that 747 and we've got no altitude to bleed off. We have to keep the velocity of this thing going. Whether the coronavirus is good or bad for human health, there will be a loss of production. That loss of production is just enough speed to take that 747 from being in the air to being on the ground. And when it hits, it's not going to be soft. And then in addition to that, they're going to do government spending like they've never done. Infrastructure projects like they've never done. It's going to be a good opportunity for some of you guys. But on the back side of this, there's still a pension bubble and there's a student debt bubble. What they'll do is they'll try to stimulate it. They'll try monetary policy. It's as low as possible. Federal Reserve is down. They're going to do negative rates. That's where they're going. It's going to be real weird. They're going to loan you money, loan larger corporations, and they're going to pay them to take it, which is weird. This little production loss, it's important to remember, this too shall pass. But when it does, there will be no bullets to deal with the next one. And the next one is huge. The pension bubble is amazing. A lot of you guys, firefighter, police, you guys think you have a pension. Look into it a little bit. Because Wall Street has raped and pillaged your pension funds. You've got dudes on the boards of your pension funds that are also fire and police. They got nothing to do with finance. They're getting wined and dined. And when all of this is ended and all these shots are fired and all this extra corporate debt is there and all these lower interest rates are down, there's literally nothing left to shoot out of the chamber. We'll actually have to go through a real depression. So we can reset all of this crap and redo it. And it all starts and is only made possible by fake money. Money was real. If it had real value, if it couldn't be manipulated, if you couldn't take the interest rate and just drop it to zero because you felt like it, this wouldn't happen. Do the math. You tell me when this will pass. 500 cases last week, 1,000 cases this week. It doubles every 7 days. Big production loss. Big production loss. Lots of bonds that need to be refinanced. Election in November. This is your new recession. And I told you months ago that this is coming. And the coronavirus is just a little pin that pricks the bubble. The bubble was there the whole time.